All right, welcome back to Three in the Key, brought to you by Fine Bet. Me and two of the coolest dudes in sports journalism break down the NBA from matchups to social media shade to fashion. I'm Dan Tran. Here with me is Sandeep Chandok in the Bay. And as always, Henry Curry, aka Henny Curry in Southern California. We're halfway through the craziest, unprecedented, messed up season, man. If you had to assess a grade for the NBA on how the season has gone, Sandeep, what would you give?
Probably like a solid like C minus D plus.
Henry, I do agree.
Yeah, I was about to say C minus. Like
Dude,
barely
I'm giving a solid D, dude. It is awful. Just awful
Solid
the
D?
way it is gone. The Raptors are getting hammered again for another COVID outbreak, dude. It's like it's kind of all up in the air right now. At least we're halfway through. Hopefully they get their crap right in the second half. But let's get to the headlines, man. So last night, or a couple of nights ago, Utah Jazz, Philadelphia 76ers, potential finals matchup, explosive ending. The Jazz controlled most of the game. The Sixers came back, and Embiid hit a game-tying three with 6.5 seconds left in regulation. In overtime, the Sixers were ahead after Tobias Harris scores 4 straight buckets. But then Gobert gets called for a foul against Embiid, and Donovan Mitchell goes ballistic, gets called for his first technical for complaining. The next possession, Donovan misses 2 shots. One was rebounded by Gobert, and Mitchell thought he was fouled by Embiid, and then gets assessed his second technical and is ejected. Smashes a water cooler right into a security guard on his way out. Thankfully, he immediately apologized to the guard. But then Donovan goes to the press conference afterwards and just goes off. Says he's tired of the team getting screwed by the refs. And that's pretty strong by NBA standards. I mean, nobody attacks the refs openly like that. But, Donovan, he's just sick of it, man. And then Gobert comes in, backs him up, says they're getting picked on because they're a small market team. Now, the Sixers ended with 35 free throw attempts. The Jazz ended with 19. So it's hard to argue for this game specifically that they weren't getting a little bit targeted. But Mitchell going 12 for 34 probably contributed more to the loss than that disparity, in my opinion. But, this is a big argument with any small market team with success going up against a big market team. So, people forget. But for me, people forget the San Antonio Spurs had a dynasty. OKC made it to the finals. The Cavaliers won a championship. So it's more star bias than, small market bias to me. But I have to entertain the argument, though. Sandeep, do you think that the NBA favors big market teams?
I think the NBA favors big market players, like superstars, and Donovan Mitchell he's an all-star, but he's, no disrespect, you're not a superstar just yet. You can be, but he's not there yet. The guy on the other side, Joel Embiid, he's a superstar, and that's one of the reasons why he got that call when he got stuffed by the rim and Rudy Gobert barely even touched him. The BS call, but that's why he got it, because he's Joel Embiid. So I don't think it's a target towards small market teams, because we have small market teams in the league for a reason, right? If it wasn't for that, they'd put all the NBA teams in just major cities or mid market cities, and so I don't think it has anything to do with the size of the city. But everything Mitchell said post game about how bad officiating is, and he was preaching. I 100% agree with him. And it's not even this season. This has been the case for the past 5 years. Officiating has been so terrible. We've seen so many terrible calls over the years. NBA refs are so egotistic and so quick to give out technical fouls nowadays, and it's ruined the game. And we've seen it twice this week already. And so I'm glad Mitchell said something on behalf of the entire NBA.
Yeah, Henry. I mean, we kind of see this every year. I mean, the Boston Celtics, they always dominate the headlines. The Lakers, they always dominate the headlines. These are two teams that we love, but we're from the big market, so we don't really get to see week to week, game to game, that kind of David versus Goliath thing that, the Utah Jazz, Charlotte Hornets, these teams kind of come up against. But do you think that there's a bit of a bias against those small market teams?
I think there is, because one of the teams being most covered right now by ESPN in the dumbest debates right now are the Knicks. And the Knicks are playing great, don't get me wrong, they're 5th in the East, but right now there's talk saying or trade rumors of does Devin Booker want to force a trade to the Knicks? And I forgot who else, but I was like, see, why are they they're doing this because they know the Knicks are a big market team. And they would not do that. They would not put the Hornets. Well, now the Hornets, they have LaMelo Ball, but they're not going to put teams let's
not
say
gonna say hey, does Giannis want to go to to Utah or like to
Exactly. Like
Right.
they're not gonna say that. Like when the Jazz beat the Lakers last time around, the headlines were, are the Lakers in trouble? Did LeBron blah blah blah? And even the Jazz, even I was agreeing with Jazz fans, like, yo, this team is on fire. Like, give them some attention, like the attention they deserve, And the only time they do get attention is when something bad does happen. I mean, Donovan Mitchell was like another victim this week of getting ejected. I mean, Devin Booker just got ejected too. You guys saw what happened. Like, I think anybody can agree, Laker fan or not, or Suns fan or not, he did not deserve to be ejected from that. Like when you bounce pass a ball to a referee and you get tossed out of the game for that. At that point, it's just like, what are these refs doing? Like, there needs to be some sort of reform for the referees, because not only is this their job, like, yeah, we understand everybody messes up on the job, but like, these are critical games, especially primetime games and stuff. So they shouldn't be handing out, they shouldn't be tossing out star players like that so easily. So it kind of pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm with Donovan Mitchell. I'm so glad he said something, because he literally said something that everybody was thinking about, and I don't disagree with him.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when it comes to figures of authority versus the players, I'm always going to side with the players. But I mean, we're talking about a kind of larger issue when it comes to the players today in the NBA. Let's not get it twisted. I mean, there's a lot of complaining, dude. Like, I watch some of these games sometimes, and there's a lot of jawing. There's a lot of complaining about calls instead of going back on defense, and that kind of bothers me. So, do you think it's more a problem with the players just kind of being more vocal than they used to be, or is it actually refereeing?
Somebody pointed out to me too, like, this year it's different because there's no fans, right? And so refs can hear everything. That's a good point. They can, and like yesterday, Montrezl Harrell got a tech for yelling and one. Like what?
Like how whack is that?
Like you can't even get hyped for making a shot anymore. Like, or when guys will dunk on somebody, like you can't stare somebody down without like the ref being like, yo, you can't do that. Like, that's part of the game, dude. Like, it's sports, like you got to let these players express some emotion, because they care about winning. They just made, like, you dunk on someone, you make a game-winning shot, whatever it is. Like, of course you're going to be hyped off that. You got to let them express themselves a little bit. It's just these refs are taking it like way too personal, and I don't get why.
But do you think that's a problem with the league or like individual referees?
It's both. I think it's both. Like, because some referees we know more than others, right? There's guys who are just more like prominently known for having like they call more fouls and maybe like for certain teams, right? Like I think James Harden and the Rockets were tied to I'm trying to remember the ref's name, but he ref like a bunch of their playoff games like over the years, and it was like a point of issue before. It's like, why is he always refing our games?
Crawford?
It wasn't Joey Crawford. It was
one of the newer ones, or like I guess like one of the current ones. But I remember the kind of hubbub about it because he was an oppressor, kind of going in on him too.
Yeah, and so I think it's both, because the league needs to do something about it, right? Like refs are kind of just handed down, also like what the league tells them. If they said like, hey, we're going to start easing up our restrictions on like our calls on the technicals. We're not going to give them out so quickly, or like we're going to allow like a little bit of hand checks now, so don't call those. Those kind of things. Like then refs would have to adhere to it because it's the new rule. So, but part of it I think too is like refs, dude, for sure. Refs like hate guys that complain too much. Whether it is like a Harden or a Luka or a Draymond, LeBron. They hate those guys, and so some guys will still get it. Like LeBron is going to get his calls because he's LeBron. Because starting to get it was annoying because he's only in his third year in the league. But some refs like hate those guys, certain players, maybe not hate, but they get annoyed by complaining all the time, and so they're going to be quicker and more sensitive to those players when they complain to them.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're just going to have to deal with this I think this is just a dynamic that the NBA just kind of deals with all the time. It's players versus refs. Refs are always going to get some blame. Players are always going to complain. But, talking about, players that get some of the benefit of the call, the Houston Rockets actually announced a jersey that they're retiring. And unfortunately for Steve Francis, he will have to continue to wait for his number to be retired by the Houston Rockets. So not even 3 months after being traded, James Harden will have his jersey retired once he retires from the NBA. And, James Harden, he came back with the Nets when the Nets came to play the Rockets the other day. and they played a nice little tribute for him. And he was a little looking up at the screen. He looked pretty nonchalant to me, honestly. It didn't look like he really appreciated the tribute.
It's still too fresh, like honestly, yeah.
But for me, looking at like his body of work in Houston, he won an MVP with the team, led the team to scoring, well, led the league in scoring 3 times while in Houston, also led the league in assists once. And, he took them to a couple deep playoff runs. They didn't win a championship, but he definitely was a big part of their success. But after what happened this year, him just coming out of shape, him just kind of basically forcing his way off of the team. Do you think the Rockets actually jumped the gun in making this announcement? Henry, what do you think?
I think it's well deserved. Obviously, seeing James Harden's reaction of being nonchalant about it, everything's still super fresh from the trade, and then how his era in Houston has ended. But I think it's well deserved. I mean, I think we can all agree after the Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming era, the Rockets weren't really, that relevant. I think their most relevant sequence was before James Harden was their 2009 playoff matchup against the Lakers, Ron Artest versus Kobe and stuff. But then after that, it took a while. It took until like 2012, 2013 for them to come up, because James Harden, came to Houston. He took over not only the scoring load, but he became the face of the franchise. He knew like what we all knew about, like we're like, oh, fear the beard and everything. It was a wave, he made Houston a title contender. He attracted more superstars like Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook. So he has done way too much for that. Also, it's just the way he gave back to the community. I watched the video and I was able to keep up with everything that James Harden did for Houston as well. So once I see a superstar do more off the court as well, I'm like, yeah, that person deserves to be immortalized, within that franchise. So I think it's well deserving. I didn't like the way it ended. Obviously, I don't think anybody did, but if there is any way that for them to honor James Harden, it would be to retire his jersey.
Yeah, Sandeep. I mean, obviously he deserves the honor. Like there's no question about that. But man, not even 3 months after a trade where it's like, kind of bad blood everywhere. Do you think that was too soon?
Yeah, it feels like it was a little too soon. I wonder if like the no fans or like the limited fans factor like played a role or not. And I'm just saying like, hey, like he's coming back. There's only going to be some fear. Like just let's get this shit done. Like you push it till next season or like later in the season, and then there's a full arena, and then you're gonna get like a mixture of boos and a mixture of applause, right? Probably more boos because of how things ended, on his way out. But it was quick. But they got it done now. It don't really matter, I guess. I think it would have been cool if they waited like a little longer. But then maybe like let's just say like what if the Nets won the championship? Like that next year it would have been even worse, because then like he would have got booed tremendously. So I was surprised when they said they were doing it yesterday. I heard it on the radio and I'm like, whoa, they're doing it already? Like
yeah, right.
Yeah, but I guess like I said, they were probably just like, yeah, it's time. Let's like we're over it,
Yeah. I mean, my gut reaction was like, dude, the guy didn't even win a championship here. Like, this is way too soon. But,
right.
Just looking at that body of work, I can't say that he doesn't deserve it, because he absolutely does. But yeah, I feel like it was way too soon. But, you never know. You're right. I actually didn't think about if the Nets won the championship and then if he came back and they announced it, that'd been even worse. But, time to just get it done. Yeah, why not?
I think something to call out.
Kind of mitigated the risk there.
Yeah, I think something to call out too is that the Rockets did it not only so soon, but they're in a 13-game losing streak. So it's like, I think you guys gotta have other priorities.
It's funny that it was the number 13 also.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, yo, I think you guys need to figure some things out before you guys
before you honor people that used to be on the team. But hey, we're just people sitting out on the sidelines, man.
Yeah,
they needed some kind of positivity, I guess.
Right. Well, talking about MVPs, let's hand out some midseason awards, guys. I mean, halfway through the season, and we talked about how the season really hasn't gone that right for the NBA, to be honest with you. But no matter what, the season has kind of come on. So let's hand out some awards for the people that have, exceeded their expectations or even played up to their standards this season. MVP, guys, I have a battle between Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic. Sandeep, who do you think deserves the MVP more?
I'm gonna go with Embiid. Best record in the East, one of the best records in the league. He's dominating both sides of the ball. He's had like how many, like 20-10 games, 30-10 games. He gets a few assists. We saw the clutch shot the other night against Utah. He's been making shots like that all season, in the clutch. So he's dominating both sides of the ball, and he's been playing MVP level ball like for the past few years, but this season he's just taken it to like a whole nother level, and most importantly, it's translating in wins for the team. So to me, it's Joel Embiid.
Yeah, Henry, what do you think?
I got at this point. I think the player with the most momentum to win MVP is Joel Embiid. I mean the Sixers are the first seed in the East. Joel Embiid is averaging 30 points per game and 11 rebounds on 52% shooting. He's completely dominating. I mean, he elevated his game in a way that I didn't really expect it, coming off such a poor bubble performance. So I thought the Sixers were going to be lackluster this season, but he proved me wrong, and I feel like he proved a lot of people wrong. And at this point, when it's like, there's other candidates as well, like Jokic, but right now the Nuggets are 7th in the West. And if you want to contend for an MVP as an MVP candidate, you got to translate all your stats into winning. And right now the Nuggets, they're winning, but not the way that people thought they would. So right now I would have to give it to Joel Embiid. What about you, Dan?
Man, I can't overlook Jokic. And I think like as much as I like kind of rag on European players, dude, this guy is leading the league in win shares. He leads the league in value over replacement player. And the most surprising thing to me, he's 4th in the league in steals, dude. Like he's actually playing both sides of the court. And it's like one of the most amazing things that this. Yeah, he just like lumbers around like a freaking brontosaurus on the court. But man, this guy, he's just so damn smart. And I think that, even though the Nuggets are 7th in the West, there's no overlooking the value that he brings just overall on both sides of the court. And I have to make the argument for my guy Jokic. And like, as much as I hate to admit it, those Nuggets are dangerous every time the Lakers play him because of Jokic on the court. And I watch this guy just back up players and just move players, and it's disgusting basketball to see, but it's also beautiful at the same time. And I got to give it to him. I don't
know how he ends the game with like 38, 17, and 15 like every time. I'm like, how?
And it's a quiet, like 30 points.
It's the thing. I'm gonna give Jokic some credit too, because Michael Porter Jr. was out of the lineup for a couple weeks, right? Because he had COVID. Jamal Murray, I think, has missed a few games. So they haven't been 100% healthy. PJ Dozier, who's one of their better defenders, has missed time. Paul Millsap recently has missed time. So there's been guys in and out of lineup. But Jokic has still been putting up the same numbers. Like, it don't matter who's on the court. He's still putting up like 10 assists a game. He makes players around him better. And the steals is so random that he's like 4th in the league, but to Henry's point, like, yeah, he quietly puts up like these 30, 10, 10 games, and it's because he's not like, aside from his passing, his offensive game isn't super flashy, right? Like, he'll take you in the post, back you down, little hook shot. He can hit the mid-range, hit the threes. But the thing him and Embiid both have in common is they dominate against Rudy Gobert all day, every day.
That's true. That's 100% true.
Listen, we love Rudy Gobert slander in this little show. All right, so let's move on to Rookie of the Year. Actually, since we mentioned Gobert, let's go to DPOY, dude, because Gobert is a big favorite to win that, man. Leads the league in defensive win shares, 2nd best defensive rating. But who do you guys have as DPOY? Let's go with you, Henry, first.
I would want to say Rudy Gobert because the Jazz are 1st in the West, and that has to do a lot. Like, their defense has improved, overall, but Rudy Gobert has been very, very stable throughout his career as a defensive presence. But Miles Turner is averaging 3.4 blocks per game. And right now, the Pacers are 9th in the East, but it's such a close race between the 9th and the 4th seed. Like, there's literally like 2 games apart. So I guess relatively, technically, they can be within that range. So he has been a huge benefactor in like keeping the Pacers afloat, waiting for the return of Karis LeVert, and to be leading the league in blocks as well, and becoming just a catalyst for that Pacers team, who's always a contender in the East, but can never get over that hump. But I feel like the Pacers got a good thing rolling. So I think I'm stuck between Rudy Gobert and Miles Turner, but if I have to pick one, I would pick Miles Turner just because I don't want to pick Rudy Gobert.
All right, Sandeep. Let's talk more Gobert slander, or are you going with Gobert in this category?
This is tough because, like you guys mentioned, Rudy Gobert is the anchor of the Jazz defense, and it's the biggest reason why they're number one in the NBA right now. As his best record, and so even though I see, it's like I think he's a little overhyped as a defender because he does get like bullied by the two guys I mentioned, Embiid, Jokic, and not to mention other guys like AD dropped like 40 on him last season, and like he just all the top big men in the league always like drop numbers on him, and so I would like to give him, his flowers, but I don't think I can just because I still think about like how all these dominated. So I'm gonna give Ben Simmons, man. Right now, like he is. I think he's not getting enough credit for like the defense he's doing on his end too. Like I know Embiid is like their rim protector, but Ben Simmons can basically guard 1 through 5. He did a great job when they played against the Mavs a week ago of shutting down Luka. Like Luka's numbers against him were not good in that game. He gets steals. He gets into passing lanes a lot of deflections. He moves his feet so damn well for a guy who's 6'8" and is known as like a point guard, right, and a passer. So I got Simmons as a DPOI right now.
Man, but I mean, we're thinking DPOY, dude. If you're thinking Ben Simmons, why not consider Joel Embiid? I mean, statistically, higher defensive rating, higher defensive win shares, and defensive blocks plus minus. So, in statistically speaking, he's not even the best defender on his own team. That's Joel Embiid.
It's eye test too, though. It's not all numbers.
We're about to have a Shaq and Candace Parker debate right now. Okay,
we just basketball nerds, all right? We just basketball nerds. We watch the game too, so
I know. Hey, Dan's pulling up all the advanced stats. Like
you gotta. I gotta represent the nerds
right here.
I gotta represent the nerds.
Wait, somebody answer that question. We got someone in the audience ask if we think that the 76ers are going to make it to the NBA Finals. What do you guys think?
Our boy, Naughty X2. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys want to answer that?
Yeah. So do you guys think that do you think that the Sixers can get into the finals? Yeah, they definitely can. They have the coaching for them is working. Doc Rivers, although things didn't work out in the Clippers, it's working in Philly. The camaraderie that him and Tobias Harris already had, I think is a big reason why Tobias is playing well. Simmons and Embiid, your two stars on that team, seem to think very highly of Rivers. So that's all good. They got defenders. They got Simmons, Embiid, Danny Green. They got guys that can, that can guard the ball. You got a 6-man type of guy in Shake Milton. So they have the pieces there. They got shooting, and everything is there for the making. It's just going to be for them. It's going to come down to the playoffs because right now they're playing great. But come playoffs, can they get it done, and can Embiid stay on the court? That's going to be one of the biggest things for them.
For me, the key is Embiid because he is the bucket getter. Like when the game slows down in the playoffs, he is the guy that you pass the ball into that could get a bucket whenever you need it. And I think that's the key when it comes to the playoffs is there a guy that you can just throw the ball to and he can just make something out of nothing? And that's the guy. He can move people around, hit the mid-range, hit the turnaround, hit the three. So I think he's going to be the key to the whole thing. And I think because he's having such an amazing season, he's going to be able to bring them to the finals. I think they're the favorites to make the finals from the East for sure. But yeah, like if you want to talk about Shake Milton, 6-man, dude, let's talk about that 6-man award, dude. Like let's talk about, see, for me, I'm choosing between Jordan Clarkson and Eric Gordon. And for me, I'm looking at Jordan Clarkson on that Utah team, which is number 1 in the West, averaging nearly 18 points per game, leads all bench players with 33.6 points per 100 possessions. That's crazy. That's crazy efficiency. And then for me, Eric Gordon, 17.8 points per game, just behind Jordan Clarkson. And I think that those two are kind of separating themselves from the pack. What do you guys think?
I got Jordan Clarkson.
I got Jordan Clarkson too.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of run away at this point. I think Eric Gordon has to go like crazy in the second half of the season in order to supplant him because, man, JC, after he left the Lakers, he just came into his own, dude.
Hold up. After Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram, Jordan Clarkson all left the Lakers, they all came into their own. So it was kind of like a domino effect. I'm happy
Hey
to
man,
see.
best scouting department in the league, dude.
I'm happy, and D'Angelo Russell. They all became not only relevant in the league, but like all-star caliber players or six-man of the year caliber players. But Jordan Clarkson, yeah, he's averaging 18 points per game on 44% shooting. So, and he's part of the team he's part of the best team in the NBA. So he has that presence on the floor that matters. I mean, if you want to talk about Eric Gordon right now, the Rockets are in a 13-game losing streak. So like I said, wait, what did you say? Eric Gordon?
Eric Gordon.
Okay. Yeah, because that he wasn't on my radar at all for,
Dude, like he's flying under the radar right now, but 17.6 points per game, like you can't really overlook that, even though it's for like a really crappy team, but he's performing.
He started a handful of games too, though, because Victor Oladipo has been out of the lineup. John Wall's been out of the lineup. So if I had to guess, he's made at least like 10 starts this year. So
he's made 12 starts this year out of 26 games. So he still qualifies as at this point.
I think any other year that the Rockets are contenders, Eric Gordon would be a contender for six man of the year. But the fact that the Rockets are out of the playoff picture and one of the worst teams in the West, I think that kind of automatically eliminates him. Unfortunately, even though he's having a solid season himself.
Yeah, and let's move on from that category because we should talk about another Rocket, Christian Wood, for most improved player. I mean, he's nearly 9 points more per game than last year, nearly 4 more rebounds per game than last year, and doubled his three-point making output. But then there's Jeremy Grant on the most improved player radar, nearly double his points per game average from last season. So which guy do you guys have for most improved player?
I'm going to say Jeremy Grant. As much as I love that Christian Wood, he got paid and he's been putting up numbers this year. But Jeremy Grant doubled his scoring average, like you mentioned. He, at some point, and he might even still be leading this category, but he had the most 20-point games of anyone in the NBA. That might have changed by now. He maybe should have been an all-star. He didn't get in, but there's still chances that he can do that. And then Christian Wood has also been out for like 2 to 3 weeks now, which doesn't really help his case. So I think it's Jeremy Grant's award to lose.
Yeah, Henry, what do you think between the two?
I got Jeremy Grant. He's playing phenomenal basketball in Detroit, and he went from 12 points per game last season to 24 points per game this season. Obviously, his offense, his usage rating is through the roof right now in Detroit, and there's rumors about a trade for him to the Celtics. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
No, I don't hear about that, and I don't want to hear about that.
I know you guys. I know you guys don't. But then that gets me hyped as a Celtics fan. But I know that's something he doesn't want to go about because we all know why he went to Detroit. He wanted a bigger role. I don't think he wants to fall in the shadow of Jaylen Brown.
It wasn't just a bigger role thing. He actually said, he wanted to play for a black coach in a primarily black city too. So I don't know why Boston's going to cut it.
Boston is the exact opposite.
Not there, dog. Not there.
You know what? I don't blame him. I think a lot of players are missing that. Like where they have the opportunity to go to a team where they think they fit in with the culture. And I think Jeremy Grant fits in perfectly with the culture in Detroit. Now that you bring that up, I don't think playing under Brad Stevens is what he wants.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think if it was up to him, rather just in Detroit, even if they're already losing this season, he knows like the outlook for this year is not that great, but he chose to go there for a reason at the end of the day. So I'm sure he wants to stay there.
Yeah, we have another question from our same guy. He says that he's from Israel and many people here are disappointed, in their guy.
Denny Avdia.
Yeah, and so what do you guys think about his performance so far in the league?
Denny's been good so far. It's just that team has been obviously going through some ups and downs with Russell Westbrook being in and out of the lineup. They had a few guys miss time because of COVID. Bradley Beal's been on these trade rumors, kind of throughout the season. And so Denny is definitely I've watched play a few times. He can do a lot. He's a good passer. He can finish at the rim, 3-ball. He can make them when he's open. So he's going to have time. And, Scott Brooks told him, he was like, you're definitely talented enough to be a starter in the NBA. He's just kind of working with his rotations right now and trying to see what works and what kind of lineups, who can play with who. So then he's going to be fine. He's only a rookie. Like we can't be judging a guy after 26, 27 games. Like he's talented, talented enough to be in this league. So he's gonna be solid.
Yeah, you can never jump the gun too quickly with rookies for sure. Like you got to let them develop a little bit. Maybe after the 4th year, I think you can judge a little bit more. But right now, I think you just kind of need to ride out the lows of the highs and just kind of hope for the best. But hey, dude, we got a fan in Israel. Who knew? But yeah, let's quickly go to Rookie of the Year. Everybody is all in on LaMelo Ball, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's LaMelo. I mean, yeah. You have it on the leader in points, assists, rebounds. Like it's LaMelo.
Yeah, okay, man. Who thought LaMelo was going to be this good early on? I'll be honest, I didn't think so.
Sandeep, like I actually think that Sandeep is actually speaking from a place of truth.
Really?
Bro, like he's the most talented player in the draft. Like it was pretty clear to me. Like Weissman, we only saw him for like a few games. Anthony Edwards, I didn't get to watch him too much. I knew he was athletic, but like LaMelo played overseas already. We knew his passing was good. He has the height, the shooting. Yeah, shot. Like his form is a little off, but he makes shots. Like so, I'm honestly not surprised. Like he's putting up numbers, and it was kind of expected.
He's averaging 20 points per game since he became a starter. That's pretty crazy.
That's pretty good. From what I hear, that's pretty good in basketball.
Yeah, and especially like in a team where it's kind of you're battling with other guards for minutes. Devontae Graham, Malik Monk, Terry Rozier. LaMelo came in and just started dominating, and he's smiling every single game. Like, you know what? I'm happy for him. I'm happy for LeVar. Like this one worked out well.
So you're okay with LaMelo smiling, but you're not okay with Kemba smiling, is what I'm hearing.
Well, like Kemba smiling after he misses a free throw and loses the game. That's different. That's completely.
We love to see it. We love to see it.
Hey,
so we're all in on LaMelo. I agree because he does lead the rookies in points, assists, and rebounds. One dude to look at. Emmanuel Quickly, 4th in scoring, 3.2 points behind LaMelo Ball, averages 10 fewer minutes per game. And if Tom Thibodeau finally decides to give him more playing time, he could actually make a push for that Rookie of the Year. And I think it's a pretty good chance if he gets those minutes. But hey, guys, let's look ahead. We got a really great slate of All-Star Weekend games or like activities. And by slate, I mean just one day. We have the Skills Challenge and the 3-point contest first on Sunday, and then we get the All-Star Game second. So, I mean, we already know the players are less excited about this one because of COVID. But do you think because of the way that the game is formatted, do you think we get the same thrilling finish we got last year? Sandeep, we were watching that last year, and it was insane, the kind of finish that we got. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think this game is going to be just as good. I'm glad they're sticking to this format. They tried it out last year for the first time, and we're going to see hopefully another game that comes down to the wire. Because it's kind of like once you have that points target set, right? It's kind of like all right, we got to get stops, we got to get buckets, and so it's going to be competitive, and I'm fully expecting. Hopefully this year doesn't end on free throws. Hopefully we get like an actual shot to end it. Like I was so mad last year, James Harden Kyle Lowry flopped on that play. I'm sorry, Canada. You can get mad at me again. Like Kyle Lowry flopped on that play, and James Harden made that three. It should have counted. Like, that should have been the game winner.
Yeah, what do you think, Henry? I mean, I think because these are NBA players and they're just matched like super competitive. I think that they're actually going to They're going to turn that switch eventually, right? Do you think that it's going to result in that same finish from last year?
Yeah, I hope so. Last year was I would say the greatest All-Star game I've watched live. I think it was the most exhilarating one we had in like more than a decade for sure. And it was the form. I'm glad they kept the format. I hated the way it ended last year in free throws. I'm on that same page. I hope it doesn't end in free throws. I hope it ends with, let's say, like an ISO play, an ISO step back or something. I think everybody will go crazy on that. Yeah. But if we see the wrong player doing this that just wants to take the shine, I'm gonna start like if I see like who would you guys?
If you see Simmons doing that, it's like no.
It's like no, back.
Put it together.
I think that, and you know what? Do you guys see the three he made the other day? It was
I did
closing out
not
a
know
game.
it. Didn't he made a 3?
Yeah, it was closing out a game against who? I forgot who, but they lost it. So there was like 5 seconds left, so he shot it up. He made it, and I was like, you know what? If he attempts more threes in the All-Star game, I wouldn't be mad because it's an All-Star game. But I think I would want to see the last shot. You know, I would want to see Luka take the last shot and hit it over like I don't know who, but I would want to see or Dame. I don't know.
So
It's-
yeah, I
Over
think what
George.
yeah. Yeah,
No,
I think what they're going to have to do to readjust is, no free throws in that period of time. I think that's the thing that they have to eliminate. It's like old school pickup or like actual pickup games where it's like foul take the ball.
okay,
Check it up. Check it up.
Yeah, check it up.
That's
Make
gonna
it
be
backyard, dude.
That's gonna be. I love the idea, but it's also gonna get used like something we got to get used to. Like I've never seen NBA players check up the ball as if they're playing like at a recreational park or something. So
That would be tight, dude.
I
yeah,
think that'd be tight because that takes them back to like before college, before high school, like just dudes balling it out in on a court and just seeing who's the best. Like I think that's a great idea. I think that they should definitely consider that.
right. Call up Adam Silvers right now.
Yeah. Like, I have a direct line. Sure. Yeah, let's do it. Before that All-Star game on Sunday, we have the NBA All-Star Draft that's happening tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. That's 5 p.m. 5 p.m. West. LeBron James, aka the GM, picking again against Kevin Durant this year, and he's 3-0 as team captain since the current format was installed. Do you think Durant can, out GM LeBron James?
Nah.
Probably not.
I mean, he built that Laker team.
Probably not. I don't know.
I think.
Do you guys think that LeBron would pick Kyrie though?
He's taking that first pick. Watch.
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
That would be funny. I think in order to bury the hatchet or like LeBron James is very cognizant and conscious about that sort of thing. I think he sees the storylines, and I think that he actually makes that pick. And I would love him for it if he really did that.
He's definitely not taking Kyrie though. To what Henry's saying, he's no way he's gonna take Kyrie.
No, I think he should.
I think he should. Nah. Yeah, why not? Like at this point,
if I were him, I'd be like, nah. Like you disrespect me, bro. Talking about. I never played with a player who can make a clutch shot down the end or whatever Kyrie said. Like, and I love Kyrie as like a player, but like, come on, bro. Like you capping. Like, don't be saying that about Bron, who actually has like I think the highest clutch percentage of anybody, like since of all time. So, but actually, I think LeBron will probably take Anthony Davis first just because it's his teammate.
Yeah.
Or maybe now because
he's not playing.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be in part of the draft. So.
Yeah, he got replaced by Zion or Devin Booker actually, one of the two.
Yeah. So he's gonna take Steph. Watch, I'm calling it.
Hey, you got a GM in the future too, so maybe he's working a Curry to the Lakers angle. You never know. All right, guys. That's it.
This episode. Isn't
that one can dream. I think I saw Sandeep throw up a graphic with Dame Lillard.
I saw
Lakers
that, man.
Too. So listen, the Lakers aren't playing for a lot of people.
Y'all Laker fans live in a fantasy land, man. Like,
but with that's it, folks. This episode 3 in the Key is over. Thank you for listening. Be sure to catch us next Thursday and look for our work on finebet.com. Shout out to Hattie K 2002 and Naughty X2 for commenting on this. We love interacting with y'all. So go ahead and